Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to another Disney Sorcerers Arena unboxing. This is for Thrills and Chills expansion, which we're gonna get a little evil, dark, and sinister with the Horned King from the Black Cauldron. Which, if you would have said, "Hey, this is a character we're throwing in one of the games," I would have been like, "Wow, that's a good callback." Mother Gothel from Tangled, and of course Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas. Definitely all really cool characters. I like this, like, pull of, you're getting just not your normal typical heroes. Like, we're not getting Rapunzel, right? We're getting Mother Gothel. That's kind of fun. Like some of the other expansions, like we got Davy Jones instead of Jack Sparrow. Like, we're getting some of the villains, which is always fun. Which is why Disney villainous is really cool. But even like the heroes, like the fact we get Jack Skellington, like, yeah, he's iconic. But he's not like the friendly kitty Disney that everyone thinks about. So that's definitely cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pamphlet and kind of see what we have new in here. We have some extra interesting stuff. First off, we have the constant abilities, which have been in other expansions, but we're not in the base sets, in case you haven't checked out anything other than that. Basically, they're effects that are always on and always active during your turn or other players' turn. So they just always happen. They trigger whenever they trigger. New concept, we have character tokens. Character tokens are placed in by various cards or abilities. They have two sides, a red and blue. When a summoner places a character token, they flip it to the side matching their team color. When placing a character token, it must go in unoccupied space unless otherwise specified. Unoccupied space is one without a character or a character token, though there may be an arena tile in that space. So one of the other expansions has tiles that can go on there. Even though they cover a space on the board, they're considered empty. VP spaces are considered empty. So as long as there's not anything else called a character, whether it's a token or an actual character like acrylic character. Character tokens are created as characters in an arena. They are allies to the characters and their summoners team, and their rivals to their characters on their rival summoner team. They never have a turn of their own. Their basic stats and attributes are as follows, unless otherwise specified. So a basic character has 0 movement, 0 attack, 1 hit point, no initiative, no VP, and no attributes. So they will come on the board and they will just sit there and do absolutely nothing. Unless another card or an ability from another character tells them to do something. But they could be blocking someone from moving somewhere, or taking up a space on the board. Like, they could drop them on top of a VP token. Someone has to get rid of them to occupy that space. And that's basically all that is. So when a character token takes any damage, is KO'd and removed from the arena, although the token itself may be used by another card effect or later producing a token. They cannot have status effects placed on them. If the card ability put a status effect, that portion is ignored. So they can't take anything other than damage. The first type we have in this set, well, the only type we have in this set, but the first type we have is the Cauldron-born tokens from the Horned King. Cauldron-born tokens represent armies of undead soldiers raided from the Black Cauldron by the Horned King. They have no attributes and no variances of the above stats. So they're saying that later on you might have, they could introduce characters that maybe these guys that give you movement. They have 1 movement on their own, so every turn they could take 1 movement. Or maybe they have 1 attack point. Maybe they have attributes. Maybe they're also, kingdom characters, and they could do something with that. So it's either they at least left that open. New status effect called Afraid has been added to the game. This character must use each of its movement phases if possible. At the end of each of its movement phases, it takes 2 damage if it is adjacent to a rival. This is kind of cool. So it forces your opponent to run away and go somewhere else. And they have to be using their movement actions. So that is what we have for those. Let's take a look at all our tokens. We have, to start off with, we gain a Stealthy. And we have Mother Gothel there. 7 health, 6 victory points, and 45 initiative. So kind of right in the middle. I think like 90-something is the highest, and like 14 is the lowest. So we have Stealthy, which of course says a rival summoner may only use direct effects on this character. They first banish a card of their choice. Indirect effects do not cause me to banish a card. We have some flustered tokens, which you've seen that little image here. It's kind of fun. Whenever a status character should move from a flustered during the starting phase, this character summoner banishes a random card from their hand. There's one of our Cauldronborn. If we flip them over, now they have a blue ring around them. We have our Afraid token in Jack Skellington. 10 health, 5 victory points, 36 initiative. We also have 2 immobilized tokens. Character cannot move with any card or other effect. This character would be moved or move 1 space and instead do not move. So it's interesting that we have immobilizing and Afraid. So immobilize will not let you move. Afraid forces you to only move. So that's kind of interesting. And then we also have 3 more Afraid tokens. And then the Horn King, who has 8 health, 6 victory points, and 93 initiative. So I think he's one of the highest, if not the highest. I thought there was like a 98, but I could be wrong. And again, these guys are blue on the other side. You know, same thing, red or blue, just seeing which team they're on. Cool. That is all of our tokens. Let's look at all of our characters quick, and then we'll jump into the cards. So here we have our Horn King. Definitely evil looking. There's the backside. Here's his base. He's got a HGK, or HKG rather. Like a sewer tile with like a lime green evil. Lime is evil. We know our musicals. There's good old Jack Skellington. Our long-legged tall boy, the Pumpkin King. And then he's just got a spider web on the bottom. JSK for him. And then Mother Gothel. And we got 2 red-robed characters, and we have a guy that is trying to be a red-robed Sandy Claus, right? Interesting. And then there's got like the Rapunzel Tangled Tower there. So those are our character acrylics. Let's start with probably the more, I don't want to say the most interesting, because I haven't looked at these. I don't know who's the most interesting. The most different of the group, the Horn King from the Black Cauldron. He is also mythical, which is interesting. That'd be cool. See if that ever triggers any other effects. Forced March. Move 1 allied Cauldronborn up to 2 spaces. So every turn he can move these guys around the board up to 2, 1 guy up to 2 spaces. Constant ability, the Black Cauldron. Whenever you gain BP, if there are 2 or fewer Cauldronborn in the arena, place a Cauldronborn on unoccupied space. Ooh, cool. So if he ever gains any, he can keep bringing them back. There are 2 or fewer, so as long as there's not 3. 3 is pretty much the max for most tokens on the board. Although there could potentially be more. I don't know if there would be more Cauldronborn, because unless you're playing against someone playing a duplicate character, I think they tell you shouldn't do that, but it's your game, you can do whatever you want. But even still, we should only count yours. If we upgrade him, we're going to get the Wretched Army. At the beginning of each rival starting phase, rival takes 1 damage for each your Cauldronborn they're adjacent to. So if you move these guys around next to your opponents, they're going to take some. And now, the thing is, that's the only way they're going to do damage, is with one of these abilities or a card. But then they have to decide, do they spend time and cards taking them out, or do they save them to attack the main characters? Because the Cauldronborn aren't worth anything for taking out other than that, but they are the nuisances. If they can hit area of effect attacks, or like hit multiple foes, definitely a great way to take out a bunch of them. But if they can't, do you waste a card or a regular standard attack action taking out one of the Cauldronborn versus using it as a movement or something else? It could be very interesting. Alright, we have 2 copies of Feed the Cauldron. Banish up to 2 cards from one summoner's discard pile. Ooh, interesting. If there are 2 or fewer Cauldron Born in the arena, place 1 in unoccupied space. An allied Cauldron Born of your choice deals 2 damage up to 1 rival adjacent to them. This is definitely something you have to worry about, right? Like, you have these guys near them. They're not doing anything currently, but you could play, Horn King could play this card, and all of a sudden, nope, now they're going to deal 2 damage to you. Right? You get surrounded, that could be very bad. Rise, Cauldron Born. There are 2 or fewer Cauldron Born, place 1 on the arena. Each allied Cauldron Born deals 1 damage to each rival adjacent to them. So these cards are only going to let you play up to 3. It's how many tokens there are. So you're not going to amass an army of like 10 or 15 and then just overwhelm the opponent. But dealing 1 to each rival next to them. So if your opponent teams up next to each other, sticks together, these guys could become a pain. 2 copies of Our Hour Has Arrived. 1 allied Cauldron Born of your choice deals 3 damage to 1 rival adjacent to them. If that rival is upgraded, you may flip their character card over. Wow. That would suck. Insidious Command. Each allied Cauldron Born token deals 1 damage to up to 1 rival adjacent to them. For each rival dealt this way, shuffle up to 1 magic card from the discard pile into its owner's deck. From oh, so you can shuffle your opponents as well. Interesting. Very cool. Fowler. Or with that other card, if you are playing like a 3-on-3 game, right, you can shuffle like your teammates up as well. Wouldn't have to always be yours. Move up to 2 spaces, deal 1 damage to up to 1 rival adjacent rival. Move up to 1 allied Cauldron Born up to 2 spaces, deal 1 damage to up to 1 rival adjacent to them. Oh, we have a 3rd copy of that. And our last one is Go Forth and Destroy. Move up to 2 spaces. There are fewer to a Cauldron Born in the arena. Place 1 unoccupied space. So, the Horn King is a very interesting character. So, basically, he's going to keep summoning his Cauldron Born and having them go out. And then, hopefully, they can get next to the rivals without them killing them by the next turn. And then he's going to have them attack. He himself has very little attack or damaging cards. This is the only one he has that does damage. And it says deal 1 damage up to 1 adjacent rival. Otherwise, all his other cards are either moving, summoning, or doing damage to the Cauldron Born. So he's going to kind of just sit back, find a spot for him, and he's going to just kind of sit back and hang out. Maybe you can get him onto a victory point spot, and he can be summoning from there and gaining victory points every turn. Which could also help, because if he's gaining victory points, then he can always keep summoning him. So that way if your opponent keeps taking him out, he can keep summoning him every turn. But yeah, other than that, he's going to kind of just hang out and not do anything. So that's an interesting gameplay mechanic versus everyone else that tends to have ways to like either move around or be getting to different spots. He's going to kind of just find a spot and hang out. That's cool. Different way to play a guy. Alright, then we have Jack Skellington, who is also mythical as well, which is pretty cool. Strange Gifts. Discard a card from your hand to move a status counter from one of your opponents to a status of token on. Discard a card from your hand to move a status counter from a status effect on one character to a status effect token on one of that character's allies. So you're moving your tokens around. I'm just trying to remember. Indirect. Oh, just probably because move to discard a card from your hand. Indirect move. Oh, indirect move. So someone can't be targeted directly because it's an indirect move. X is probably just stating it for that. I was trying to figure out why I had the indirect or direct symbol on there. one character to that character's ally. So this is interesting because you could, let's say, Mickey had, his magic brooms out, right? And you could remove, he has 2 counters on. You could move one off of that counter, making his brooms go away faster. But then you have to apply it to one of his allies. But the thing is, it can be any status effect. You could apply it to another character if they were made afraid. So removing a positive off of one character and making another character's negative. But since it doesn't specify, it has to be a rival or anything, you do the same thing for your own. If you have a negative effect, like you have afraid on you, you can remove that and add it to a tough on one of your other characters. It doesn't give or take away the full status, it just removes one of the counters if they have instances of it. Although if they only had one, it could remove it quicker, but it doesn't 100% just eliminate a status effect and move it to somebody else. That's interesting. And then we have Sandy Claws. Once on each of Jack Skellington's turns, when adding or moving a status counter to a status effect, you may put an additional status counter on it. Cool. So either make the bad ones worse or make the good ones better. That's going to be very interesting. Let's see what his cards do for that. 2 copies of Fearsome Throw. Range 2. Deal 2 damage to a rival. That rival gains afraid. So that's going to keep making them move away. And this is one of the negative status counters you can give them. A present for you. 1 adjacent ally gains 3 strong. Very helpful. Pump up your characters. 2 copies of Scary Face. 1 adjacent rival gains 2 afraid. Deal 2 damage to 1 rival within range 2 that has at least 1 status effect on them. Pile on the gifts. 1 adjacent rival gains 2 afraid, 2 immobilized, and 2 flustered. Then that rival takes damage equal to the number of status effects on them. Wow. And that's a lot of things to give them, which then now you can maybe pull off their other positive and then keep adding on to them to keep them on there. But they have 2... How does that even work? Because it's going to go in order, so they're going to have Fluster, which is going to make them just banish cards, which is really bad. But then they have Immobilize, which is going to stop them from moving. And then Afraid, which is going to force them to move. So depending on which order they put that, if they go, assuming they go in that order, they're going to run away for 2 turns until that goes away. Then they're going to stop in that space for 2 turns. Then they're going to have to discard 2 cards. That's crazy. 0, deal 1 damage to each adjacent rival. Deal 2 damage to each adjacent rival with Afraid. This is cool. This is really neat. We just introduced ally tokens. It would be neat if you had 0 being ally token, and then maybe you had the 1 card that was when he's out, you can summon him, and then you can do this, right? But then again, you have the thing with the tokens is you almost have to have someone like Horn King who has multiple cards that do something with him. We have Prepare the Slay. Move up to 3 spaces. Until the end of this turn, whenever a rival is dealt damage indirect, they gain your choice of 2 Afraid or 2 Immobilize. That's cool. And then finally we have, what is this? Sorry, what's this? Move up to 4 spaces. Reveal the top card of your deck if it is a fast card? Oh, my brain can't remember what all these symbols are. Draw it. I'm going to double check status card. Well, that makes more sense. Draw it. This is a very interesting character. So again, he himself doesn't do a lot of damage or anything else. He's going to kind of move around. He does it a little bit here and there. But he's going to be messing with these counters all over the place. Adding them, subtracting them, making your characters better by removing their negative effects, making your opponent's positive effects go away and increasing their negative effects. The Horn King didn't really play any status effects. So Jack doesn't have anything to play off of that. So I have to see if Mother Gothel maybe adds to some of those. But that's a very interesting deck. Alright, then finally we have Mother Gothel, who is from Tangled, Villain, and Kingdom. Mother knows best. Reveal the top card of rival summoner's deck if the rival characters matching that card is adjacent to Mother Gothel. If the rival character matching that card is adjacent to Mother Gothel, its summoner may choose to banish that card. If they do not, Mother Gothel gains Stealthy, which makes her harder to hit. Because it says, summoner may only use direct effects on its character if they first banish a card. Indirect effects do not cause them. Interesting. So, like, if she's next to a character, so, like, if she's fighting against Jack Skellington, she's next to Jack Skellington, you reveal the top card, it's a Jack card. Your opponent either has to banish that card, or she gains Stealth, which is going to make her a lot harder to hit, especially with, like, adjacent characters. Because lots of adjacent characters have direct attacks. So, like, all of his direct effects even. So, like, yeah, basically, if he wants to really attack her, target her with even any of his cards, he would have to banish a different card, or you have to banish that card right away, otherwise she gains Stealthy, and that's going to make her harder. That's kind of crazy. It's a neat effect. And I'm guessing it's kind of like, because, like, she's the villain that's not supposed to be the villain, or that you don't know is a villain, the idea. And then she has Crush the Dreams when she upgrades. Immediately after upgrading Mother Gothel, choose a rival summoner to reveal their hand. Choose and banish up to 2 cards revealed, revealing the cards for the same character. She's just going to destroy your deck. Wow, between her Mother Knows Best, Stealthy, and then this. Upgrading only happens once, but you really have to be paying attention when you do it, but it could really hurt. Alright, she has 2 copies of Shadow Stilettos, the Stiletto Dagger. Choose one, deal 2 damage to an adjacent rival, then remove a status effect from that rival. Or deal 3 damage to adjacent rival and draw a card. So if they have too many positives, you could get rid of it. Or you can get an extra card, which will help you out. Sinister Schemes. Mother Gothel has Stealthy. Ignore all status effects on adjacent rivals. Deal 4 damage to that adjacent rival. If Mother Gothel does not have Stealthy, she gains 1. And direct damage deals 3 damage to up to 1 adjacent rival. So if she has Stealthy, she'll do more. But she can gain stuff. Ooh, that's pretty cool. 2 copies of Exert Control. Deal 3 damage to an adjacent rival. Indirect, deal 1 damage to each princess in the arena. Yes, we're going to get the princess keyword becoming in effect. Just to either be hit or miss. If there's a couple of princesses, it's going to really be kind of effective. If there are none, it's useless. Mother Gothel is your 1 health for each character dealt damage to this phase. Cool. Dire Dilemma. Choose a rival summoner. They choose. Oh, this is mean, making them choose. Banish a random card from their hand. Mother Gothel recovers 3 health, or she deals 1 damage to each character on their team. Oh, and they have to choose which one. That's mean. I love it. 2 copies of Death Manipulation. Move up to 2 spaces. Move a rival within range 2 up to 2 spaces. You may not move that rival through other characters this way. Cool. Getting to move other characters around 2 is always fun. And then 2 copies of Move in the Shadows. Move up to 2 spaces. Then, if Mother Gothel is adjacent to a rival, you gain additional movement to space. Draw a card. So she's getting bonuses for being next to people. So she wants to be next to someone. Then she gets Stealthy. It's going to be harder for them to do stuff to her. But then she can also manipulate what they're doing. That is really crazy. So, how well do these 3 characters work as a team? I think they're going to work fairly interesting. So, Jack is going to be manipulating all these status effects all over the place, which could really hurt. But one thing that's going to be really mean, combined with Mother Gothel, is he can up Mother Gothel's stealthy by giving it more counters if you have other characters with status effects on your side. Removing one off of somebody else, you know, and then upping her stealthy. She's just stealthy for even longer. Or also is that he also does Flustered, which forces opponent to banish a card, plus she's going to be banishing cards. They can really team up to destroy people's decks that way, between those two effects. That's pretty crazy. None of the Cauldron board can gain effects at all. So that doesn't really hurt them at all. But the fact is Mother Gothel can be getting next to each other, kind of manipulating them, moving them around a little bit. And then if Jack is playing Afraid, making guys run around, that might interfere with like trying to get the Cauldron board in the right spot. But it could also keep characters away from the Horned King, so he can just sit on that board and then keep summoning these guys. Maybe he can kind of like have all three of the tokens maybe like form like a triangle and like surround like a barricade around people. Plus it's other little guys that they have to deal with, like Mother Gothel could keep one guy over here occupied. Cauldron board could be like manipulating the other two while Jack is part. They could work very interesting. On their own, you got to look for characters who really work with their abilities. Jack, again, obviously, where characters are playing a lot of different status effects. I think Maleficent does a bunch of that, if I remember right. Definitely be someone like that. Or like Stitch has his no punchback, so he gains tough, he gains strong. Like, again, you can power up them, but you have to fight. But then, like, even with that, like, in that set, Davy Jones plays a lot of curse tokens, which are technically negative, but there is reasons to keep them on for that set, so it could be a reason to, like, remove one positive from somebody else. Yeah, this guy doesn't really need it that much, to then, like, pump up those curse tokens for other people. So that could be interesting. Mother Gothel works very well as stealthy. Imagine her and Robin Hood running around being stealthy everywhere. That'd be kind of crazy. Some interesting things there. And then the Horned King, just with, like, troopers on the board. Now, I wish there was, like, one other character that's summoning abilities, so you could have little armies around the board would be kind of fun. But so far, he's the only one. But yeah, if you have other characters that can manipulate where people are on the board and stuff like that, that could be cool. Yeah, these guys are very interesting. A little bit of the villainous side is really fun. Usually it's like 2 heroes and a villain, so having 2 villains is kind of cool. Getting other characters from this series would be very neat, like getting Rapunzel or Fling for Tangled would be like a fun 3-character set, or Jack getting like Oogie Boogie, who also probably have a lot of Afraid effects. But he could also have like summoning with like Lock, Shock, and Barrel. Might be interesting. I don't remember who else is in the Black Cauldron. Like, I don't remember who the hero character is off the top of my head, so I can't say who that would be. But yeah, they're definitely a neat set. Add some extra cool elements. Again, when you get these new things, new stats effects, and new abilities like summoning tokens and stuff to characters, it's really cool. They just need to make more expansions to give other characters or other things. You can even have like a rival, like the Horned King versus somebody else that has a summoning effect. You know, some other characters are going to use Afraid. Like, if Jack's the only one that uses it, that's alright, but it'd be cool to get another character somewhere else who would use it as well. It's a neat idea. They need to keep expanding upon it. But if just based on a video game, I don't know how many characters in the game, probably enough, they could definitely add some more cool stuff. Even it'd be neat, some characters in games like this would be cool to get like upgrades, like upgraded decks or like alternate decks later on. Like, added a character from like the Beast gets like he has a card that lets him produce afraid tokens. Now that they are there, or Gamona gets one. That'd be kind of cool as well. Something like that. Alright, that's what we have for Thrills and Chills. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later. Bye.